Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run.
Jan Lewis, welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Worcester, Victor Pacheco, and he is an amazing artist. I saw him in, well, of course, one of the local papers. Was it the Worcester Telegram? Where was it?
Yeah.
He has been featured at your artwork. Wait till you see this. Do you call it sculpting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you at the Worcester? Where were you? The museum over there? Where were you at?
Worcester Center for Crafts.
The Worcester Center for Crafts. First of all, Victor, before we get it, so you get an idea what he does. Sitting right beside him is a gentleman frog. How long did it take you to do this, and what is he made of?
So they're made out of foam.
Foam.
Yes, sort of like a harder consistency foam than the normal packing foam.
Yeah.
And then I coat it with plastic.
And you coat it with plastic.
Yep, and then I paint.
But it's got real clothes on it.
Yep.
And you build him, and then you put the clothes on him.
Right.
And he's holding up his iPad, whatever.
He's got a phone, and so...
A frog. That's what I saw in the newspaper. The exhibit had... How many frogs did you have in that exhibit?
Total of about 10.
And they all had their own personality. How do you come up with this? It just...
So sometime a couple years ago, just, looking about, I started to notice that everywhere I went, and most of the people I interacted with were on their devices.
Yeah.
So even if you're just walking from the car to a store,
Yeah.
if you're in the parking lot.
Got their nose in.
Yeah, and so I said, well, maybe I should do something about this in terms of, pieces, art pieces, a body of work. And spending a little more time realizing what's happening. Even me and my wife, at some point, were sitting in bed, each having our own device, and it's just kind of a downtime, right?
Sure.
And so, based on those observations, I kind of took tally and said, well, how many scenarios can I come up with that are obvious in today's sort of society and their habits with their gadgets?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the pieces in the show are reflective of things I've seen or myself experienced. And so that's where the origin of the theme of the...
How long have you been doing this?
This body of work? Or,
yeah, this type of thing.
So I've been sculpting for quite a while. Maybe it goes back up, 98 or something like that.
Did you go... Now, also, he's a teacher. Victor teaches at Holy Cross and also at RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. Let me guess, art?
Yes. Some of the courses are mixed, so sometimes I'll teach drawing, or sometimes I'll teach sculpture, or sometimes I'll teach fundamentals of 3D.
I love this. Paul, can you zero in on this? This is like a little girl, and her head is a... What is that? That's a...
It's a tablet.
It's a tablet. She's got her iPad there, or whatever. She's got that. She's got her tablet. That's her head. And around the side, her head goes into it. These are clothes. You absolutely incorporate it perfectly. How long does it take you to make this one?
So each piece, give or take, I would say 2 weeks. If I were to equate it in terms of running hours, like direct running hours without stopping, I think you're probably looking at 48 hours or so.
Yeah.
But obviously I can't work for 48 hours straight like that.
No, you got other things to do. How did you ever get the word out about your artwork? I mean, do you sell it? You go to fairs?
Some pieces I sell. With some of the current pieces, I am not ready to sell yet, and so some pieces I make with the intention of selling. Some pieces, like these, are more conceptual in terms of getting people's reaction.
Oh, well, you got one. I saw that frog. The first one he brought in was the little girl, and I said, didn't I say something about the frog? He says, I got down in the car. So he brings the frog up, and the frog just cracks me up. The color you picked is perfect. What color would you say? I mean, it's a shade of green, but what is it? A lime, yellow, green?
So I can't remember exactly, but I visited my local Ace hardware store.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of fun just to look at all the names associated with the colors. Yeah. And so this is, I'm forgetting what it is.
Do you have to spray it on, Victor?
Yeah,
Okay.
I buy the paint and then I use a sprayer to spray it on.
What do the kids over at Holy Cross think of this?
I'm not sure. I mean, teaching is very different than exhibiting
Yeah.
work. You know, for the most part, students come in, they get their assignments, they work on their
That's it.
assignments.
They should see what their teacher is doing. I would think
So-
of RISD too. They would love this because my friend was at RISD and I was pretty funky over there. A lot of fun. Well, do you find it like that too?
I find teaching interesting. I like it because I get to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm very clear in stating that I don't know everything
Right.
as a professor, and I think that's important. Just because if you don't know something, you can always find it. And so the power in having students acquire that skill to find information, I think, is the most important part.
Did you think this up yourself? How to do this sculpting?
This kind of stuff has evolved for me a little bit. I started working with foam and then using fiberglass resin to coat other forms I was doing.
Yeah.
And then upon looking online, I figured there's got to be another way, an easier way, more environmentally friendly way, or at least for me, health-wise, healthier way to coat the foam. And
Do you have to wear a mask, Victor? When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do?
Even with sanding or carving the foam, I wear a respirator.
Oh boy, I used to do spray painting a lot outdoors, thank God, but I didn't wear a mask. Bad news?
Well, I mean, if you're outdoors,
Yeah.
don't quote me on this. I'm not
Yeah.
a health and safety guru,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, now you should wear
You
a
think-
respirator.
Yeah.
Helps your lungs stay healthy.
What do your kids think of this? He has little kids at home. They must love this guy, the Froggy.
I think it's mixed. I mean, I think some of them might like it. My oldest daughter, she thinks they're fun. She thinks some of the pieces are weird.
She's how old?
She's 5.
My son has a 6-year-old little girl. She would think that was, fantastic. And then her little brother, who's now 5, would go for the frog. And I have a good friend who, through the years, oh my God, grown man, loved frogs. Anything froggy I could find, stuffed animal for him, anything like an art piece, something like that. It started when his mother made him a stuffed animal. He was a kid, whatever. And he's got that still. It's made out of rug carpeting yarn or something. But when I saw that, I said, "Oh boy, he would absolutely love that." How can people reach you, Victor?
So I have a website. It's vicpacheco.com, Pacheco.com.
Yeah.
Most of my information is on there.
And they could actually, sometimes, I'll go on a website and I will get, because the person has forgotten to put the word contact. Do you know what I'm saying? How do I get this person? So I'll start all over again. I'll type their name in. I might write telephone contact, or I might write email contact. If I get lucky, then I figure, well, where do they work? Maybe I could get them through that. Yours has, people can contact
Yeah,
you.
no, this is, even if you type in Victor Pacheco,
Think you can get,
yeah, it'll just pop up. And so it's accessible. I mean, it's got work in the website, current work, all the way dating back to, 2004, 5.
Yeah. That's amazing. That frog, with holding that up, I can see that in our library. Wouldn't the kids love it if you holding a book? Have libraries come to you? How about the Worcester Public Library?
I mean, this is fairly recent work.
Yeah.
I made this within the last year.
Yeah.
And actually, a large portion of the work was funded by a grant I received from Art Matters,
Yeah.
which is an organization out in New York. And so, it helped a lot to get the project going.
Yeah, you got very lucky. Grants, I hear, are kind of hard to get, are they?
Yeah, they're a really great organization, and it's the kind of organization that you can't really apply to. Their grants are given by nomination and stuff like that. And so,
What happens with a grant? They send you a check? How does this work?
yeah,
They
pretty
just
much.
and they say do what you need to do with it, or do they require payback? What happens?
No, there's certain there's different grants, and so in the past I've received like material needs grants, or just grants that deal with either buying material
Yeah.
or working in studio or something like that. And so this particular grant allows me to use the funds within my practice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whatever it is that is associated with my
That is such a
artistic
big help
practice.
financially, because I don't think people realize it costs to be an artist, a crafter. It
Yes.
does. It's not just, oh, well, the price of paint over at Walmart. No. You
No,
don't-
I mean, this project in particular, a lot of the material, the new material that I'm using, which is the sprayed on plastic,
Yeah.
is fairly pricey.
Sprayed on plastic. I had never heard of that. You just spray it and it loops up?
Well, no, it actually works. I don't know if you're familiar with epoxy, which is an A and B solution in
Yes.
a little tube.
Yeah.
Well, this is very similar to that. It comes in these two large tubes that
Yeah.
are together. You put it in a particular spray gun, and then use compressed air to make the gun work. And
So that's what gives it
on.
its 3D effect?
A lot of that. So the plastic is sprayed on, and what happens is it cures within 4 to 5 seconds. But whatever surface
Yeah.
texture is on there, it will sort of. It's fairly transparent in that manner, where it captures all the surface.
Can you get we're
Texture.
talking about, this one right here. So that actually was something you mixed and sprayed it on, and it gave it that texture, that rubber, hard rubber texture, would you call it?
A lot of that is the actual material underneath.
It's
and
the
so-
clothing underneath it.
Yeah.
Now, the frog, was he done? Let's see if we can get that frog again. Is that the same type of thing where you had to mix, right over there, Paul, the frog? Is that, you had to mix the glue, the epoxy together
So
with it?
basically, I don't mix anything.
Mm.
The two tubes come together, and you insert it into a thing called an easy spray
Yeah.
gun, and then it's got the air compressor hooked up to it. So when you press the trigger, it compresses the two tubes, forcing the material to mix
Yeah.
inside a nozzle and spray out.
Does it dry quickly?
It cures in about 5 to 6, 10
Hours?
seconds or so.
Seconds?
Yep.
So, Mr. Froggy there, I love the way you didn't have to make a face. The frog is just there. The eyes, you know what it is. Okay, what's cooking coming up? What else are you going to have? What's coming up on your docket?
So I just finished making these pieces, a couple months ago,
Mm.
and so usually I end up doing a little bit of research on themes before I start
Yeah.
another project. So I'm just kind of turning my wheels right now.
Right now, how long were you exhibiting? It just ended at the Worcester Arts, right? Or Arts Worcester?
Worcester Center for Crafts.
Worcester Center for Crafts. Where is that located?
That's in Worcester. It's on Sagamore off Gold Star.
Off Gold Star, okay. And how long was it exhibited there?
About a month.
That's a good long time. Did you have an open house first?
Yeah, opening.
How did it
Yep.
turn out? Pretty good?
It was pretty good.
Yeah,
It was pretty
I
good,
can
yeah.
imagine. People knew what was coming, or were they surprised?
So, Worcester Center for Crafts did an amazing job promoting the show, putting it on media outlets and making sure people went to it. And so
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with
Yeah.
their surface.
Did you get some commissions from that?
I got a lot of contacts through it. I am not really particularly ready to part with the pieces in terms of selling. Like I said, they're recent. Even this year,
Yeah.
like I was working on
Yeah.
a few of the pieces in January and February
Yeah.
before the show went up in March.
I love it. I can see that, in college or high school, libraries, out front of libraries. I could see so many places where these would be absolutely fun. Oh, definitely. You're going to go far. I mean, this is the beginning. If you stick with this is just the beginning. Victor, again, how can people reach you?
So I'm at vicpacheco.com, VICPACHECO.com.
Is this the most fun you've ever had with your art?
I've done some other interesting things. What I get a thrill out of is just figuring out how to make things. And so lots of times I change. I don't stick with the same theme.
Yeah.
And so the frogs are something that I started doing a couple years ago, and I didn't do a lot of them.
Yeah.
I did one or two cast pieces or something like that.
Do you have to put wire to make his arm hold up the? You can look at Paul. You can see how his arm is holding up his cell phone, right?
Right.
You must have to use something to hold him up.
So what I do is I insert a steel structure underneath.
Yeah.
For things that will, get a lot of tension from gravity or something like that.
So you start with like the steel part and work up from there?
I actually do the reverse, and so I carve or shape all the forms first.
Yeah.
And then I drill holes into where, you know, the arms would be attached, or the legs, or if the knees bent like this, you know, I have some of the frogs are bent sitting on something.
Yeah.
Or even legs crossed or something like that. I cut through the foam, insert the steel framework, and then place foam over it again to cover up.
Is she supposed to be a frog also?
She was a frog. The legs, it's
No.
funny, clothes changes the way things look.
She got boots on, yeah.
Yeah, and so this piece is called mutation.
Yeah.
And so it's basically the idea that it is sort of a frog that's mutated into a...
See her head, the side of her head, it goes right into her board there. And this idea just came to you.
Well, it's everywhere. I mean, you know, people drive, they have their phones. People
Yeah.
walk, they have their phones. People
But
go
the
to
idea, the
grocery
unique
store.
idea of not having to bother with a, you know, particular detailed facial structure, people get the message, they know what it means.
I consciously made those decisions so that I can have it kind of open for other people to think about things a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if you insert too much detail, then you know.
I like it just the way it is. Oh, no, you're... Yeah, like I said, when I saw this in the newspaper, I said, oh, this guy, he's onto something here. That it just cracked me up, the frogs. When people walked in, did they know that this is what they were going to see, do you think?
I think so. I mean, a lot of the material out there for the show...
Gave them an idea.
Yeah, I only put up media-wise 1 or 2 images. And then a week or 2 before the show, I posted some in-work progress images online.
Did anybody say, gee, can I buy it?
Not openly, not like that. Some people expressed some interest.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, it's so fresh for me in terms of the process that I'm not ready to
Not
part
ready
with
to
the
part with it
pieces.
yet.
No.
Maybe you will be, because, like I said, I can see this in so many places. How long, like, per day, like you work as a teacher, well, you've got summer off, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to be able to make a lot of frogs.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with the theme of making frogs. I think they're definitely fun to make.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why I chose frogs is because either people like them or they don't like them. There's a very defined line.
Yeah.
And as a stand-in for the human figure, I think it changes the concept a little bit in terms of how people look at things. And so my idea was to present, you know, this is what we're doing as a society in terms of like how much attention or how much time we spend with our gadgets versus like, you know,
Just
social
like this,
face-to-face interaction. And so I decided using a frog as a stand-in would change the dynamic of how people would think.
Oh,
a little
definitely.
bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that to me says I'm buried in what I'm doing here, and I'm not communicating to everybody else other than just that, right? Just holding it like... That is... Now, your exhibit went for a month, right? Arts Worcester. It was your very first exhibit.
No, I've been exhibiting for a while. This was a solo show. I haven't had a solo show in about 3 or 4 years. And so this is, you know, I was really excited about this.
Yeah, you got some more shows coming up, do you think? I know it's fresh, but kind of new, but still.
Yeah, I mean, to get shows, I have to apply for them. And so a lot of it is, you know, finding the right sort of relationship between a gallery and what they exhibit and stuff like that. So I kind of have to pick and choose what's out there and
I
hope.
can definitely see these at the different galleries. Also, of course, Worcester Art Museum. They're beginning to focus, I read about it, on more local art. Good. Not just, you know, which classics are great, the great masters, but the local artisans. Get them out there. Because, we got to keep moving forward, right? Now, you're an art teacher, right? Now, do you teach it's called, in college, they call it the fundamentals art, or I could take art history. Is it still the same?
So there's a wide range of classes within different departments depending on what schools sort of generate as a visual arts department.
Right.
But I teach sort of the fundamentals, so like the hands-on studio
Right.
learning skills. How to, I don't want to say this sounds silly, but how to use a ruler, how to
Yep.
figure out particular shapes, how to materialize things that
Yeah.
you have up here. And so
Exactly. So, Victor, again, before we close, how can people get a hold of you?
So I have a website. It's vicpacheco.com, VICPACHECO.com.
Okay, now, if somebody got a hold of you and said, we would like to have you exhibit this place or this and that, would you be open to it?
I'd be open to any kind of source that would, showcase.
No,
some of
you're
the work.
local, right?
Right.
Right over in Worcester, so he's not that far. I think this is great. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you brought your frog. And they're both frogs, right? This guy with the green one, obviously, he stands out as the frog. I didn't realize until I started looking at these wild, the fingers, that it really was a
proportion-wise, they're a
froggy.
little bigger than.
You're pretty unusual. So, no matter which way you go with this, I don't think you can lose. I really don't. You've got a way
We'll
out
see.
there type of thinking, right? A kind of a fun, funky, there's no holds barred. You're good at that.
We'll see. I mean,
Oh, well.
every day's a new experience.
I love this frog. I wish I could take them both home and give them to my son's two little kids. They'd love this. I can see, like I said, this out in front of a library, even up at Children's Hospital in Boston, or UMass, the Children's Hospital in UMass. Oh, yeah. I mean, what a gas, right? That would cheer people up a lot.
I don't know.
Don't
Some
you think?
people, well, yeah, in some ways, and then some people have also, commentary-wise, have told me that they're very provoking in terms of how people use their
Really?
devices. So
Well,
they're
you
reflective in some way.
You could always put like a book, just a book.
Or change the content.
Change it, yeah. Go keep the froggy and but just like change the content of it, or even if it's going into a hospital, a stethoscope.
Yeah, that would be commissioned work. And so,
There you go.
you know.
Why not? You deserve it. Why not? Your kids would love it. They are so lucky. Thank you, Victor, for being with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I'm glad you brought your frogs. We'll see you next time. I'll be my guest.